Well, hello YouTube friends. It's taken me ages to set the camera up, the little iPad. If you could see it, it's on a rickety chair on a brick, plugged into the extension cable and in the house, because I wanted to sit outside. I wanted to be in the pavilion to do this little update. Are you coming? She'll come in a minute. There's a lot of things to talk about. Here she is. Hello, you. There's a lot of things to talk about, and I'll try to keep it short and snappy. And so the first one, I guess, seeing that she's just jumped onto my lap, is that kittens, there's one kitten left. One little kitten who Mark, my gardening friend, is having, and he's going to call it Harry. That's fine, I don't mind what he calls it, him. But Harry the second, because we had little ginger Harry, didn't we, has had a bit of a poorly eye, and I haven't wanted to give him to Mark until I've cleared that up. So I've been bathing it with cool boiled water. And then secondly, I've been bathing it with rosemary in water, and that seems to be helping a little bit. It's not a proper conjunctivitis or anything like that. It just seems like, you know in the morning when you open your eyes and sometimes it takes a while to get them open. Well, it seems a bit like that, because once they're open, they're fine. Anyway, it meant that I kept hold of that cat for a little bit longer. But the two girls have gone to Jill, the two boys have gone to Lorna just over there, and this last little Harry, he'll go to Mark when I'm happy that his eyes are all right. But it did mean though that, and Sadie seems fine just having one kitten. She hasn't really minded, it seems. She's feeding that one still, and she seems fine. But also what has happened is that all of these guys have come back, because Norma here disappeared onto the farm for a week. She's 17, I don't like her being out for that long. It's a good time of year for her to do that, because it's beautiful weather, it's warm at nights, there's plenty of baby rabbits to eat. I'm sorry if you mind that, but that's what she does. And Prudence and Rita too. And so Prudence was back and Norma was back, but Rita wasn't. Rita was the one that Sadie was most fierce towards when she was anywhere near the kittens. So I was really pleased when 2 days ago Rita turns up on the windowsill meowing to be in. And so she's back, everyone's back now. Nobody seems to mind this one little kitten. In fact, it's like he's got two aunties and a grandma. And he'll stay with me just for another couple of days while I monitor his eyes, and then he can go and live with Mark. It'll be fine. So I'm really pleased. Exactly what I hoped would happen. Cat equilibrium has been restored a bit, and then once the last little guy's gone, I'll make an appointment with the vet and take Sadie to be spayed, and then everybody will be able to settle down. Sadie's had quite a year. Everyone will be able to settle down again and enjoy sitting on my lap and having cuddles, which is nice for me. Yeah, it's been nice having the kittens. I haven't minded the kittens one bit. It's been very entertaining. I've really enjoyed having the kittens, but it's time for them to go to their new homes now and make other people happy. So it's Sunday afternoon, and I've just watched the Wimbledon men's tennis final, because I really enjoy watching Wimbledon. And if you saw not the last video, maybe the one before it was all about me preparing some fibre so that I'd have spinning to do. Now there's absolutely no film of me spinning, because I was spinning while I was watching the tennis, but I did manage to spin all of this wool. Now this wool, and I've actually started knitting it up today. So the wool, if you remember, all the fibre that I did was all reflecting all the different things of Wimbledon. It's plied together, so one whole ply is just green grass, which makes it lovely and green. But then there's tennis whites and there's the Wimbledon balls there, strawberries and cream, the blue skies up here, look, and the Wimbledon logo is here. So there's quite a few strawberries there, look. So as I'm knitting it, all those little bits of Wimbledon, so I'm making it into, I have this television knitting, I call it, and I do it on a big circular needle, and it's cast on one stitch and increase one on every row, garter stitch, and it means you don't even have to look when you're knitting it. So it knits, as you can see. I'm knitting a right angle here, so this might carry on and be a scarf for the winter, but do you know, I'm more thinking that I might just keep going and make it into a big blanket. But I'm also going to wash it in the washing machine so that it felts a little bit, so that it won't look quite so loose, because I'm knitting it on big needles. So this is almost kind of, we could call this, couldn't we? Excuse me, sweetheart. We could call this part 2 of the spinning video that I did, because that was the carding, but I missed out all of the spinning. Go on, you sit there, darling. Good girl. So I'm going to sit here and knit and talk about some of the other things that have been going on. Because yes, it's been tennis, but there's been all sorts of other things as well. I'm not going to get anything done with you, am I? I never do. So straight away, I'll tell you about something that isn't so very pleasant that has just happened today, in fact. And if you remember back to January, when it was my birthday, and for my birthday I bought myself 6 rescue hens that had been living in cages, in battery cages, and then I rescued them and they came to live with me. And you remember the one that had the least feathers of all, Hilda, who actually, through careful looking after, I made her a little jumper. She was in the house for ages. Then I looked after her in the polytunnel when all the snow came. It's been quite a journey for me and Hilda. I put a purple leg ring on her so that as she got better and better, I could tell which one was her. And in the end, you couldn't tell any of them apart. Now, those hens are not bred to live for very long. And about 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks, I noticed one of the rescue hens was looking really peaky. And the next time I went into the hen run, she was dead. And that's very, very typical of these rescue hens. They're only meant to live a year, and I get them at a year old. They're meant to be the sort of hens that lay an egg a day for a year. Well, Hilda, and so one died the night I got them, so I had 5. Then this one died about 6-8 weeks ago, so I had 4. It's very unfortunate now that I'm afraid Hilda's died as well. What can happen is, with these hens who are bred to lay 1 egg a day for supermarket cheap eggs, and at the end of that time they go off to be chicken flavoured cat food and dog food to processing plants. If you keep them alive beyond that time, so that they are then, like I did with these hens, and like many, many, many people do, they're now in uncharted territory, and they start to lay misshapen eggs, or very large eggs, or double yolked eggs, and they start to lay eggs with sort of where the shells aren't strong, and so the shells are all ripply or broken. And typically they lay much bigger eggs as well, which you might think, oh, that's nice big egg. It's not actually very good for the hen to lay a big egg like that, and this is very common. These hens don't usually live for another full year after you rescue them. Well, unfortunately, Hilda must have been laying a massive egg, and she look away now if you're squeamish, but she prolapsed, and she laid her egg, but she laid all her innards as well. And that hen, you never come back from that. And so, unfortunately, a very difficult decision was made, and my son, who's a star, who knows how to do these things humanely, because he's done them before, I'm not very good at it, and so I'd hate to give the hen any extra suffering to actually try and kill a hen. don't do it, and so I haven't got the practice to how to do that well. Whereas John has worked, he's worked all over the world, and some of the jobs he's worked in, have been on farms and have involved this kind of thing. And so when I told him he was coming round anyway to see me earlier on today, and he said, "Of course, I'll do it for you, Mum." He's very good. He's a good boy. So, Hilda. It would be Hilda, wouldn't it? I have 3 rescue hens left, and who knows what their fate will be, but I don't expect them to still be here next year. Whereas my other hens, they could go on to be 8 years old, 9 years old, easily, because they've got that longevity bred into them. So that's that little sad chapter. It's a real shame. Okay, so some more news then, because it's been very, very, very warm in the UK. Very warm, unseasonably warm. We've had a bit of a heat wave, and so I've been watching the tennis and moving the hosepipe all around the garden. And the garden is looking sensational. So it's Wimbledon's over, kittens have mostly gone, and so I told my dad that as soon as that had happened I'd go down and visit. So I'm driving down tomorrow morning early to go and see my dad and see what's happening in his garden, because he's where I get all my garden inspiration from. Well, that's all the news that's fit to print, and so I'm going to carry on knitting this weird and wonderful Wimbledon knit, because no more Wimbledon to knit with now. I'll just knit it as television knitting. And I'm going to pack up a veg box now for my son and his wife as a thank you. And then get back to gardening. Lots and lots and lots of gardening. So I hope that worked and wasn't too windy. It's been quite windy out here in the pavilion, and thank you for watching. Oh, I'll tell you another thing. If you look at the subscriptions, we've just crept over 400. Look at that. That's amazing. Thank you to each and every one of you. Do try to comment on all your comments and answer properly questions, and I'm sorry if I don't do it always, but I do try to, and I am grateful to you all, every single one of you. And I have a plan for if ever we get to 500, I've got a little bit of a competition. So I'll edit this now and put this up, and then I'll see you when I get back from Lancashire. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Catch up with you soon. Bye now.